Yeah. So
I know
most people think it was heavy at one point and then faded off, but it's actually increased globally in terms of martyrdom and those being killed for their faith.
and we know what's going on in Nigeria
Mm-hmm.
right now, where people are paying the ultimate price.
Sure, sure.
But I just hope that we don't. I'm guilty of this sometimes. I don't
Me
think
too.
about it.
Me
I
too.
just go to church and go home and think that's the way it is.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. And most of us, when it's kind of like, right, you fail to sometimes see the beauty in the things which are most familiar, And to your point, one of the things we fail to see is there are these people, the fathers of our nation who came together, whom we never had the opportunity to meet, that had the wisdom to let this country and this nation be a place that was unique in that it protected the citizens' right to worship. You have that in the free exercise clause of the First Amendment. And then you have the establishment clause, right, where they also promise we will never have a national religion or a state religion, right? And so they preserve this opportunity and right and privilege for all of us. And some of us who obviously have been all we've ever known is that, to your point, really take for granted that there are people sneaking through the shadows to get to a gathering that they might not be discovered and killed or arrested or their family punished all over the world each and every Sunday, and the way the world's divided up in time zones, most of them have already endured that by the time we have our first yawn getting out of bed on a Sunday morning.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, it's, I've lost my train of thought for a second. I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah. Well, it's a privilege and it's a right. And the more complacent we become, the more we forget that these are gifts that the fathers of our nation have left us.
I know where I was going with this, and we talked about this at church. It also guarantees a multitude of religions that get to practice.
Yes.
And that's not always the case in some countries.
Right.
Because we can have Protestants, we can have Jewish, we can have Catholic, we can have Sikh, we can have Hindu, we can have Buddhist, and they're all, we can have mosque, and they all can exist in this country.
Yeah. And right across the street from one another.
Yeah.
I think this is a fascinating angle that you talk about, because really what our founders did is protected religious pluralism, right? Now, when you believe anything passionately, all of a sudden this thing which was a great gift, all of a sudden you think wasn't meant for people who think differently than you. You know what I mean? And so
no, that doesn't happen.
Some people get a little bit off base on that and forget, hey, these are kind of the rules, if you will, and the boundaries put in place by our Constitution and the First Amendment to protect these things. It's a living document. It's aimed to protect us as long as we exist as a nation. And so now, what would happen, Ted, in your mind, if a particular religion, we hear this in Texas politics of, okay, an Islamic religion has moved in or is dominating the elections in a particular city, and they would like to invoke Sharia law over the city, which is theological law, theologically rooted, if you will.
It is.
Law versus kind of civil and criminal law, and may call some things criminal that our criminal system does not, right? So in your mind, how do we approach that when we appreciate pluralism, we appreciate democracy, and whoever gets the most votes wins? And so how do you think that we kind of approach that?
Well, I think you have to draw a line, because Sharia law it's not compatible with our Constitution. And so you don't want to have two sets of laws in a country.
Right.
And so if you want to come here and practice your religion, that's one thing.
Sure.
But if you want to have your own courts and your own justice system and meting out justice, which may be something that we wouldn't do. I think
Mhm.
that's where you cross the line, and it violates our Constitution. And if you're here, you should live under our Constitution.
I agree, and you speak right to the fact too. And if this were to happen in a city somewhere, right, we would also presume there's people living in that city that are not Muslim. Right.
Yeah.
And then you're forcing this religious law upon them, which is exactly what our founders did not want to take place. And it would be the same for a Christian, right? Government is like, I'm going to start making up new laws and curfew that apply to all the punishments prescribed in the Old Testament for these crimes or these sins, right? I mean, you wouldn't want that either.
No.
You know, and I think this is the beauty and wisdom of our forefathers, at least in this nation, is they eliminated all that. You know, and said, you have the right to sincerely practice privately or publicly your faith, you know, and this is true in the military too. You know, that's one of the things the chaplain does is fights for the right. I feel like I'm about to quote the Beastie Boys right now. Fights fights for the rights of soldiers to take time out of their training or military day that they might worship.
Now, you're a military chaplain.
Right.
But you're a Protestant pastor.
Correct.
This is can't take this call now. If this were the NBA, that would be a $500 fine.
That would be, and if it were the Lord, I'd say answer
it.
Or your
it's
wife.
My wife.
Okay, well, that's pretty close.
I can't answer right now. What were you saying about? I got distracted by the phone.
Well, you wouldn't want to be ruled by Sharia law or kind of the strictly Christian law either.
Yeah.
Though our laws come from a Judeo-Christian foundation, right? And so this is the beauty of what our founders have done, in my estimation. I think that's what we were talking about.
And boy, the other thing and I always point this out with people who believe, they are convinced that there is the separation of church and state in the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
No.
That phrase never appears in our Constitution.
Right.
So you can't just necessarily take the Pledge of Allegiance out of a school.
Sure.
Or take down a nativity scene.
Yeah, you know, and as I think about that, and we don't want to conflate the two, church and state, right? And what I mean by that is there are two distinctive kingdoms, particularly as a Lutheran understands the world and scriptures, and as Luther often talked about, there's the kingdom of the world and the kingdom of Christ, right? And I don't go to a judge at the courthouse to have my sins forgiven, right? Nor do I go to a pastor or a shepherd or a nun or a priest to pay my ticket, right? I mean, in that respect, that they don't do the same thing. And God's kingdom in Christ is ruled by grace, and the kingdom of the world is very much ruled by law, right? You know, the judge has a duty to carry out a sentence, pronounce the sentence, or as a jury might decide. And that's what it is, right? They can't show mercy in the sense of, well, we find you guilty, but we're going to let you off this time, right? I mean, they have to follow the law. So grace cannot prevail in those sorts of areas. Now, a judge could maybe lessen the sentence or something because it's a first-time offender or whatever the case may be, so they can be gracious. But it's not the grace that we talk about in the kingdom of Christ.
Yeah.
You know?
All the founders wanted to do was not have a state religion imposed on this country.
Right.
And that's all that means.
Right.
So all this stuff about, you can't have this because it's separation of church and state, that's a lot of hooey.
Yeah. And you think, historically, right, how many people have been killed as a result of faith and not converting to a particular faith group.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's like convert or die. And that happened. And even as far as the Reformation goes, the Smalcaldic Wars, Catholics and Lutherans killed each other.
Well, Martin Luther had to hide.
Yeah. He had a papal bull put on him that if found, you can kill the guy.
Yes, I know.
And then he found safety, ironically, in the state, from that.
I know what I was going to ask you about. You're a Protestant pastor, military chaplain.
Oh,
So do they have Jewish chaplains and all the different denominations?
We have Jewish chaplains, rabbis. We have imams, Islamic chaplains. We have, all the other different brands from non-denominational Catholic priests, Nazaritic ones, Mormons, which are not Christian, but they still wear the cross and kind of almost presented as they're streamlined Christian, even though they're not. But they're available. So pretty much all the primary practicing faith groups in our nation are represented in the chaplain corps. Now, the challenge might be, right, I'm one chaplain to say 800 people. I can't do Buddhist services and I can't do Catholic services and that sort of thing. So my job as a chaplain then is either to make sure that the Buddhist soldier or the Catholic chaplain has access to a Catholic mass or whatever Buddhists do. They can go to the temple, and that right is protected for them to do that. Or maybe they just need permission to have a half hour to themselves to do their prayers or whatever the case may be. If you're in theater and deployed, then what I would try to do, right, is arrange for let's say 20% of my formation is Catholic. I would work to look for a Catholic chaplain to see if he can make a visit by, because of the sacraments that he's going to present to those Catholics, and visit them. So I do my best I can for that.
Yeah. Tim Radkey has been in Kerrville since September. So still
5 months,
relatively new
yes,
to this area. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Where did you go to seminary?
I went to seminary in St. Louis, Missouri, Clayton more specifically, at Concordia Seminary.
What was your favorite class there?
Oh, gosh. I joked with you earlier on this question that my favorite class was the last one.
Graduation.
Yeah, graduation and leaving. I think I probably fell in love either with systematics classes, like the classes that emphasized how do we put all these pieces together? How does it fit into a particular worldview, and what do those lenses look like? So I found that pretty fascinating. And the practical theology classes, which were more along the lines of hermeneutics, preaching, those sorts of things, and just kind of day-to-day life of being a parish pastor.
Did you have a favorite professor, teacher?
I did. Dr. Joel Akamoto was probably my favorite. And one of those reasons is I just loved his he had a great sense of humor, though very dry, and just a brilliant guy. I think he got his undergraduate or his PhD at MIT. So, I mean, a super, super smart guy. But I had some independent studies with him and got to know him a little bit more. And he really was good at challenging your understanding of what you think you believe. And he would always joke to everybody who got too full of themselves is, give me 5 minutes with you and I'll make you a heretic, and he really could.
So he taught you to defend your position?
To defend your position, explain it, understand why you believe what you believe. And it doesn't mean that he would agree with your conclusions in your paper or on in some form of testing. But he wanted to make sure you knew why you believe what you believe, that you're not just speaking something because this is what you've always heard spoken, that you've actually gotten to the root of understanding. Why do we even teach this, right? And how does it fit into your daily life and you're moving about in the world, and what does it look like? And how is it connected to the cross and faith in Christ and all these sorts of things? And so he was just fantastic in my estimation, and still is, although he, like me, now has gray hair. He didn't back then, and neither did I, but he's been there a while. So
this is Rappin with Rev Rad with Tim Radkey, lead pastor at Hosanna Lutheran Church right here in Kerrville. So what was your toughest course at seminary? The one we all struggle with different courses.
All of my courses that involved Greek.
Mm-hmm.
That was my biggest challenge. Hebrew for me was a little bit easier, and I don't know if that's because it was the second language that I studied intently, so that I'd learned how to study a language a little bit better. But I think it's probably more along the lines of Hebrew is a little bit more abstract, whereas Greek, if you're really good at mathematics and science, of which I was not, Greek usually came easier to folks like that. And people who were maybe more artistic or those sorts of things seem to do better with their brain in Hebrew. And so, plus with Hebrew, you get to spit a lot, and that's kind of fun, when you talk.
I always think when a pastor throws in a Greek word, all of us go, ooh, ooh.
Well, and sometimes the pastor is throwing it out just to flex, to make his audience believe he actually studied the text. But nowadays, though, boy, you can do all of this with Blue Letter Bible. You can search up and do what's it called, Strong's lexicon, and look up words and that kind of stuff. So you can go online today and kind of get that stuff without knowing the languages.
Yeah. Okay, Tim Radkey, when you listen to music, what do you listen to?
I'm pretty eclectic in that regard, but I listen to a lot of country. I love classical music or opera, particularly if I'm kind of in a contemplative or preparation or study mode. I love U2. I love Neil Diamond. I love Frank Sinatra.
Neil Diamond had an incredible run of hits.
Yeah.
And he had no idea that when he recorded Sweet Caroline in 1969, I think, that song would live forever.
Oh my God.
And become one of the most biggest karaoke songs ever. And he had no idea that the Boston Red Sox would start playing it at the 7th inning stretch of every home game. And the crowd would go crazy when he went, and I swear, if he hadn't have put that in the song, I don't think it would have been as popular.
Well, isn't it the Mets that play Billy Joel, Piano Man?
Yeah,
I think they do it. But it's funny to me how many can sing songs nowadays and don't even know who sung it.
Oh, I get that over at Shriner.
Yeah. I mean, I've had this argument when my daughter was younger. Like, that's not a new song in the commercial. Yes, it is.
Yeah, I know. I get
no, that's actually an old song. No, it isn't. Like, okay.
Yeah, I heard one the other day, Rod Stewart. I wish I knew then what I know now. That one, and that was from the early 70s.
Yeah.
If you're going to go out to eat here, what's your favorite spot so far?
Ooh, gosh. Well,
all right, let's start with.
Let me say this. So our normal traditional Sunday after church place, is Acapulco.
Oh, good.
And they have fantastic frozen margaritas.
Ah, okay. Well, so I thought you were going there for the food.
Well, that too. But I start with a margarita. I've just been with God's people all this time. I need a little break. No, and so we love that. We like Mexican food. That's one of our favorites.
They have really good enchiladas.
They do,
and their tacos are fantastic.
And their fajitas are pretty good too, actually.
Yeah,
and our monthly men's gathering this coming Monday at 5:30, we will be having tacos catered by Acapulco for our men's event, where we're having the head coach of Shriner football come, Keith Allen.
Yeah, this will be at 5:30.
Little commercial.
5:30 on Monday.
Yep.
Just a group of men.
March 2nd.
We go in there. We drink some beer.
Yeah.
We argue and solve the world's problems in 30 minutes.
Just like the old men at McDonald's.
For coffee. Yeah. And then we have a sermon that lasts about an hour, and then maybe a half hour this time, because Keith Allen, the football coach at Shriner, is going to be the guest speaker. That'll be this next Monday.
Yeah.
At the church, 134 Camp Meeting Road.
Yeah.
And you're
dinner
welcome.
At 6, and he starts talking at 6:30.
Yeah, you're welcome. So anyway, you can do that, and also we will have tonight, 6 o'clock at the church, 134 Camp Meeting Road. We will have a Lenten service, and the elders will feed you tonight, beginning at 5:30, and the service will
just
begin
a family
at 6.
setting, relax, chill, come as you are, come as you want, and you can eat and be fed the word at the same time. You don't have to rush to get there. You can get there late, make your food, start eating, and listen.
Yeah.
Right?
So
and sing.
Yeah.
Misty. Yeah. Our own Misty Dawn will be there playing music tonight.
Yeah, Misty Dawn now running Encore Radio. And by the way, tomorrow at 5 o'clock, I'm going to be back with Michael Bennett over at Shriner University. We have a show now that's every Thursday at 5 o'clock called Talkin' Texas Tunes, and we highlight Texas music. And the more I get into this, the more I realize how deep the bench is for Texas music. I mean, there are some really good. I've got a song by Willie this week that I found that just sums up Willie's career perfectly.
Really?
And it's a tongue-in-cheek. He did this on purpose. But the name of the song is It All Went to Pot.
I love the irony of that.
The world's all going to pot.
Well, wasn't there that joke of Willie getting pulled over by the Texas State Trooper, and they found out that he had some pot on him, and at that time there was a recall on lettuce, and he made some joke that, well, at least it's better than a bunch of lettuce. That'd kill me, you know.
Well, it hasn't hurt him. What is he, 90?
Yeah, I know, and he's a runner too. I mean, so he's an active guy,
and he's still going. Well, we got a song for you to end as we always do. This is Brooks and Dunn. It's a gospel song. This has been Rappin' with Rev Rad. We'll be back next Thursday. He is the pastor at Hosanna Lutheran Church right here in Kerrville. And again, for information, it is hosannakerrville-tx.org. That is the website. Brooks and Dunn are going to take us out. I'm Ted Davis. See you next time.
I'm Pastor Radkey. Listen to the best country music duo ever.